A Thunder Bay MP renews his opposition to the city's proposed shelter village site. Good evening, I'm Ryan Bonazzo. Thank you for joining us. MP Marcus Pulowski says he's disappointed that city administration is once again recommending Miles Street for the temporary shelter village. He issued a statement saying he'll oppose any federal funding for the village if it's built on that property. But his crosstown colleague disagrees, as Jessica Clement explains.
Now that Miles Street is back on the table as the preferred site for the temporary shelter village, MP Marcus Pulowski has issued a statement doubling down on his previous comments made in November. He argues that having a shelter village in Thunder Bay's South Core would negatively affect residents and businesses in that area.
To put the temporary homeless shelter in downtown Fort William would basically, I think, ensure that downtown Fort William would continue to be basically a ghetto for the next 5 to 10 years. And it's certainly not in the interest of the very many people who live in or around the downtown South Core or have businesses in the South Core that it go there.
The latest city staff report also includes a second and third option for City Council. The previously rejected Cumberland Street site, next to the Salvation Army's Journey to Life Center, is recommended as the Plan B option. And the Hillyard lands are now Plan C. That area, north of Central Avenue and Carrick Street, is currently the site of an off-leash dog trail. Pulowski says that third option would align with his preferred location for the village.
Putting it inner city would certainly be closer to the hospital. There is a lot of land in the intercity region, which is far enough away from centers of population. And I fully realize there's not going to be one site where no one complains. But I think it's a matter of how many people are complaining, how many people are adversely affected.
Meanwhile, Thunder Bay Superior North MP Patty Haidu says she trusts the city's planners to determine the best location for the shelter village, and she'll continue advocating for federal funding no matter where it goes.
My job as a member of parliament is when the city determines the appropriate location, the funds that they need, to be there to support them and be an advocate to receive any federal funds that might be available and to help them navigate the federal funding family, for lack of a better word. There are a number of different aspects of funding that project would need and that may be eligible through other funding that's available in the federal government.
City Council is expected to choose its preferred location on Monday night. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
A newly transformed facility on Algoma Street is poised to become a hub for job training and education for First Nations people in this region. Today, KCETS celebrated the opening of its new Thunder Bay facility, and officials also plan to bring education programs to the 9 Matawa communities. Justin Hardy has the story.
KCETS is an Indigenous-led training and employment organization, and they officially opened the doors of their new location inside the Matawa Wellness and Training Center on Algoma Street. That building, which once housed the Dawson Court Home for the Aged, has been repurposed by Matawa for several years and continues to grow. KCETS Executive Director Dave Negan says this grand opening represents one of many steps they're taking to better serve their First Nations communities.
What's happening in our First Nations very specifically, there's a lack of economic opportunity within their First Nations. There's this thing called, economic terms called turn of the dollar. And what's happening in our First Nations is that, the money comes in from usually Indigenous affairs to the community, and then from there it immediately exits through businesses such as the Northern Store.
Each of the classrooms is being set up for video streaming, meaning that any member of a Matawa community will be able to access and participate in training remotely, so they can stay in their home communities while accessing services.
What this space allows us to do is we're able to do basically the majority of our training here in the city of Thunder Bay, but our ultimate goal is not to bring individuals from the communities of Thunder Bay, but so they're able to actually be fully trained in their homes. So what that means is we need these broadcast studios where we bring the trainer here in Thunder Bay, and then we'll be able to simultaneously provide training directly in our First Nations. So what it would mean is that it'd be a huge cost savings for KCETS and other partners.
The new facility was built with some help from the federal government's Green Infrastructure Fund, and much of the training is also funded through Ottawa. Minister of Jobs and Families Patty Haidu says the government is happy to help.
But also they have financial support to be able to reach into community through virtual training opportunities, using all kinds of digital tools to ensure that people in remote communities who often can't leave their homes because they have family, they have other obligations, can actually still access those skills training opportunities.
Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Ontario opposition leader Marit Stiles is speaking out after the government recently took over 4 school boards across the province. The takeover was the result of a spending probe, but the NDP says the government needs to prioritize investing in education. CTV's Beth McDonnell has the story.
Matthias D. Dovidas is an elected TDSB school trustee. Yet go online and check his webpage, you'll see this banner which says the power of trustees now falls under the Minister of Education. His job no longer defined.
Currently, we're being told not to respond directly to any parents and to forward them to essential email.
Today, he joined Ontario's leader of the opposition, school union leaders, and parents in calling for investments to education over cuts. There is some fear this could be a step to eliminating school trustees, which advocates here say are vital to navigate a large school system.
Despite the fact that the TDSB balanced its budget and that the investigation found no evidence of financial mismanagement, the Ford government continues to place the blame on trustees rather than where it belongs, squarely on themselves.
At the end of June, the education minister announced he was taking control of 4 school boards, including the Toronto District School Board, the Toronto Catholic District School Board, and Dufferin-Peel Catholic District School Board, and appointed supervisors at each. Writing in a statement to CTV News, "We are restoring accountability in Ontario's education system and putting all trustees on notice. Focus on your mandate or step aside." The NDP and Liberals have made their choice to defend trustees who abuse public funds and fail students. They protect broken boards and oppose accountability. While they fight to support out-of-touch school board trustees, we will fight for students, parents, and teachers. The NDP blames the Conservatives for not investing enough in schools, saying instead, since 2018, funding per student in Ontario has decreased by $1,500.
Doug Ford is using his own underfunding to justify a political power grab. And now local schools are being run by inexperienced political insiders.
I see parents being pushed to the sidelines in this. Staff are stretched beyond their capacity. And it's our children who are falling through the cracks.
The minister says he's focused on listening to parents and teachers about setting students up for success and less concerned about the opinions of trustees that have failed in putting students first.
That was CTV's Beth McDonnell reporting. A longtime convenience store inside St. Joseph's Heritage will close its doors in the fall. Danny's Variety has been a one-man operation run by 72-year-old Danny Edwards. He says St. Joe's management recently informed him that his lease will end in 3 months, and he's upset both for himself and his elderly customers. Jonathan Wilson reports.
Basically, my heart is broken.
Danny Edwards has been running Danny's Variety for over 12 years. His little store, tucked away inside St. Joseph's Heritage, offers food and snacks, along with an eclectic mix of household items, books, and CDs. But many of his older clients, from PR Cook Apartments and Bethany Nursing Home, come by just for a little social time with Edwards.
And it's so nice to see them coming down, and they don't want to buy something, they just want to talk. It's just like part of my family, and we had a lot of laughs, and that's what I'm going to miss. It's because they have nobody to turn to. Like if they need a can open or something open, go see Danny.
Those nice interactions and Edwards' livelihood will be coming to an end this fall. Edwards says someone from management came to see him at the store on July 2nd.
And he just walks in casually and he says, "Okay, by the way, we need your space and you're gonna have 3 months to vacate." And that just took me right out of left field. And I'm still shocked because I got so much, the way it's gonna go, I'm gonna have to go bankrupt because I don't have any money coming in.
St. Joseph's Care Group responded to an inquiry from Dougal Media, saying it was a difficult decision to end the lease and offered appreciation to Edwards for his presence, humor, and care to their clients over the years. But St. Joe's would not confirm what the space is needed for.
If they had a reason to say, "Danny, yeah, we're going to open this, yada, yada," okay, that's great. I know where you're coming from. But just don't try to step on me and say, "Oh, you're going to leave in 3 months."
Around 100 people have signed a petition supporting Edwards, and he's hoping people continue to contact St. Joe's officials on behalf of himself and his elderly customers.
And what am my clientele going to do? There's no place to go. They don't have any family members here, so then they have to take a taxi to Metro, $25 there and $25 back. Like, where's the compassion for the clients?
The statement from St. Joe's goes on to say, "We understand that to many, Danny is someone they can talk to. We want you to know that we are listening. We are making every effort to reach out directly to those who have concerns, and we're meeting with clients, tenants, and staff to understand what alternate support and services we can offer to meet their needs." Danny's Variety will close its doors sometime in October. Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
The United Way and Roots Community Food Center are getting people fired up about hunger. They hosted their annual community barbecue today with a dunk tank on site for a few volunteers to take a cool dip on a sunny day. Holden Dougal reports.
The United Way of Thunder Bay hosts its annual community barbecue at the Roots Community Food Center. The fundraiser was held in partnership with Roots, the RFDA, and Do Drop In, with the presenting sponsor being Sargent Propane. The event took place over a 6-hour span and wrapped up at 5 p.m. United Way's CEO Albert Brule spoke about why they're doing this.
All of the funds will be going to support the main feeding programs that are coordinated through the RFDA, the Do Drop In, and Roots Community Food Center. In particular, the RFDA, of course, supports virtually all of the food banks in our community and in other communities and First Nations across northwestern Ontario.
The barbecue featured delicious, freshly grilled food, including burgers and fruit pies. And as an added bonus, the event featured the popular dunk tank, giving attendees a chance to make a splash for charity.
And there's lots of ways to support. I mean, we have like the raffle that's happening. The dunk tank's going to happen at 1 o'clock. There's 5 dunkies going in, and they have collectively raised more than $13,000 to get in the dunk tank. And so that's going to be a show, and then the barbecue itself. So we hope that it raises a lot of money that we can use towards improving food security in Thunder Bay.
Holden Dougal, TBT News.
And it looks like it was a pretty good day for a barbecue out there. Fiona, will it stay that way over the next few days as we start to look toward the weekend?
It's one of those maybe yes, maybe no. We have some pretty vigorous systems that are going to be moving through that can sometimes, a lot of heat moves in and humidity, and it rises quickly. It hits that cold air aloft, higher in the sky, and things get cool and wet, so we get brief showers popping up. And that's possibly going to be the case, and that's because there has been a lot of heat in the region. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, a very seasonal and quite lovely high of 23, although the humidex did feel like 27. That was despite mostly cloudy skies or just completely cloudy skies for much of the day. Winds were very light from the south-southeast, anything from 2 to about 12 kilometers per hour, although there was a brief period when we saw gusts up to 27 k. But all in all, a relatively calm day. Now, if we take a look at what's going on across the region, we have mostly cloudy skies at this time in Red Lake. They've been also waffling between mostly cloudy and partly cloudy, and possibility of a little bit of rain moving through. Sunshine from Fort Frances all the way through to Greenstone, and then Sault Ste. Marie. They too were mostly cloudy, but you have to note the temperatures. Now, we're looking at 27 at this hour for Fort Frances, Dryden, Sioux Lookout, Pickle Lake, 28 in Kenora, 30 in Red Lake. But that's only half of the story at this time of year. It's always important to consider the humidex. And the humidex for this entire region is hovering between 35 and 36 at this hour. It's slightly cooler as you head up into Upsala at 22, Armstrong and Greenstone, both under sunny skies at 24. Humidex there is hovering around 27, so not as strong an effect. And then on the North Shore, it's a little bit cooler still, 22 in Nipigon, 20 in Marathon, Wawa, Sault Ste. Marie at 25, but they too have a humidex of 30. And in fact, it's making areas right along the lakeshore probably the most comfortable conditions at this time. Now, tonight, most of our lingering clouds in Thunder Bay are going to clear out. We'll be left with just a few clouds as we drop down to a low of 14, so it's going to be above seasonal overnight, but a beautiful night if you want to keep your windows open. Winds will be light from the east, about 5 to 10 kilometers per hour. But I mentioned all that heat, and a large portion of it is going to be staying more to the north, and these areas are watches. Those are the yellow areas. That means elements are in place to potentially become either a thunderstorm or become very, very warm. The red, these are warnings, and that means it's imminent. It is about to happen. And these areas, we have humidex values tomorrow that will be hovering around 35, 36 once again. But with all that heat and humidity, we have a possibility of thunderstorms, and that could mean some heavy rain, that could mean hail, but just for brief periods of time. Okay. So over the next few days, I think what we're going to see is a mixed bag up in the sky, sun and cloud, but it's where the energy in the systems is moving through, whether or not we see a thunderstorm or a little bit of rain activity.
Okay, thanks a lot, Fiona. We'll have to see what Mother Nature has in store for us over the next few days.
That'll be later on in the news hour.